yes, it's important to give. Of course, it's always important to give, but it is also important to know that YAHUAH is the one who provides. Do not make a piece of metal or a piece of paper an idol in your life. And that is what I have come here to speak about today. Last week we spoke a little bit about idolatry, and we are going to continue today. So this will be Flee from Idolatry, Part 2. And the scriptures we will be talking about today, I talked about this one last week, but I wanted to recap. Be doing 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 1 YAHUAH, or John chapter 5, and Galatians chapter 5, and Romans chapter 1. And so let's see what the word has to say. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it is written, I do not want you to forget, dear ox, or brothers and akwits, or sisters, about our fathers in the wilderness long ago. All of them were guided by a cloud that moved ahead of them, and all of them walked through the sea on dry ground. In the cloud and in the sea, all of them were baptized as followers of YAHUAH. All of them ate the same food of the Ruach. They all ate the same food of the Ruach. And all of them drank the same water of the Ruach, for they drank from the rock of the Ruach that traveled with them, and that rock was HaMashiach. They were all drinking from the rock, and the rock was HaMashiach. YAHUAH was not pleased with most of them, and their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. These things happened as a warning to us, so that we would not crave evil things as they did, or worship idols as some of them did. As the scriptures say, the people celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan festivals. They're just worshiping these idols. I mean, it didn't take long for the people of Yasharal to start worshiping the golden calf. We all know that story. And we must not engage in sexual immorality as some of them did, causing 23,000 of them to die in one day. 23,000 people dying in one day because of their sexual immorality and idol worship. Nor should we put HaMashiach to the test as some of them did and then died from snake bites. And do not grumble as some of them did and then were destroyed by the Malach of death. These things happened to them as examples for us. This was all an example. They were written down to warn us who live at the end of the age. If you think you are standing strong, be careful not to fall. The temptations in your life are no different from what others have experienced. So the temptations you experience are no different than what anyone else has experienced. For YAHUAH is faithful, and YAHUAH will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, YAHUAH will show you a way out so that you can endure the temptation. YAHUAH will always show you a way. Always. And YAHUAH. So, my dear friends, flee from the worship of idols. You are reasonable people. Decide for yourselves if what I am saying is true. Alright, and now we've got 1 YAHUAH, or John, chapter 5, verses 18 through 21. We know that the children of YAHUAH do not make a practice of sinning. The people of YAHUAH do not make a practice of sinning. For the Son of YAHUAH holds them securely, and the evil one cannot touch them. So, just as Brother Dasta was saying before, if you're walking in the light of YAHUAH, which is Yahusha, YAHUAH will hold you securely, and the evil one will never be able to touch you. That darkness will never come anywhere near your light. We know that we are children of YAHUAH, and that the world around us is under the control of the evil one. I mean, that's very clear to see. It's very obvious if you really have your eyes open. The world is under control of the evil one, Hasatan is the so-called God of this world. We know that Yahushua HaMashiach, the Son of Yahuwah, has come and has shown us the true YAHUAH. And because of Yahushua, we now belong to the true YAHUAH, who gives us eternal life. Dear children, here it is again, another warning. Stay away from all kinds of idols. It doesn't matter if it's, these idols of wood and stone and metals, or if it's a piece of paper. Do not turn anything into an idol. You are to worship Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And really, look at some of these things. What can they do for you? What can they do? Can they give you advice? Can they give you money? Can they make you lunch? And Galatians chapter 5, verse 19 through 21 is written, when you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambitions, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of YAHUAH. So if you're following the desires of your sinful nature, the results are going to be very clear. You'll be doing all of these things. Outbursts of anger, jealousy, quarreling. People love to quarrel, start issues, and try to cause division. And that's not going to end well for you. You might think you're doing something. You might think you're making a great comment on YouTube or something, but you're only hurting yourself. Let's continue. Galatians chapter 5, 22 through 26. But the Ruach Kadash produces the kind of fruit in our lives: Ahava, or love, joy, shalom, patience, kindness, goodness, amunah, or faith, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things. Those who belong to Yahushua HaMashiach have nailed the passions and desires of their sinful nature to HaMashiach's execution stake and impaled them there. So if you belong to Yahushua, you've taken all of your sinful passions and have hung them to the stake, just as Yahushua was. Since we are living by the Ruach, let us follow the leading of the Ruach in every part of our lives. Let us not become proud or provoke one another or be jealous of one another. Get rid of all that stuff. You don't need to be provoking people. You don't need to be jealous of what others have. Be happy with what you have and give Tudah to Yahuwah in all things. Do not be proud. Just Tudah Rabah Yahuwah. In Romans chapter 1, verses 18 through 20 is written, but Yahuwah shows his anger from the Shamayim against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about Yahuwah because he has made it obvious to them. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the Arah and the sky. Through everything Yahuwah made, they can clearly see Yahuwah's invisible qualities and his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing Yahuwah. There is no excuse. These people know. Yes, they knew Yahuwah, but they would not worship him as Yahuwah or even give Tudah to Yahuwah. I can't imagine knowing Yahuwah and not giving him thanks. That's something. And they began to think up foolish ideas of what Yahuwah was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. And instead of worshiping the awesome, ever-living YAHUAH, they worshipped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. Instead of worshiping the awesome ever-living YAHUAH, they worshipped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. Does that sound like anything you guys may have seen? Maybe in a church, or maybe, you know, a little fish on the back of someone's car. I mean, why are you worshiping these things? Why are you falling down and kneeling before a statue, kissing its feet, or whatever you might be doing? What can that little bird do for you? What can that little fish do for you? Absolutely nothing. Verse 24, so YAHUAH abandoned them to do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies. They traded the truth about YAHUAH for a lie, so they worshipped and served the things YAHUAH created instead of the Creator himself, who is worthy of eternal yada. So, do you want to worship a creation, or do you want to worship the Creator? And here we have just more of this idolatry. I mean, we got the golden calf, and you know, the Pope over here holding up a cross with a false image on it. I mean, just flee from this stuff, guys. It can do nothing for you. It does absolutely nothing for you. Your sole focus should be on the Dabar, Yahusha, the light, and give Tudah to YAHUAH in all things in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. If anyone has anything they'd like to add, I will open it up now. Tudah Rabbi YAHUAH Sabaoth Bahasham Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yeah, Tudah Rabbi YAHUAH Sabaoth. Awesome message. You see, this is important. Like we talked about it last Shabbat. Worshipping of idols is evil, it's dangerous because the second commandment stated clearly, you must not carve any image, you must not bow down to any image. He said, because I, YAHUAH, I am a jealous Allah. He said, I will visit the iniquity upon your third and fourth generation unborn. So even you're worshiping idols today, you are putting curse upon your generation unborn. Yes. And it takes the divine favor of YAHUAH to deliver that generation from that curse, because they are part of your seed. So idol worshiping is dangerous. A lot of people, their affection, he said, YAHUAH said, will not tolerate your affection. Because it's their affection, they pour out they trust in that idol that it will deliver them from their troubles. Just like when the children of Yasharah, they're coming out from Israel, which they translate to Egypt. At that time, YAHUAH now called Musha, which they translate to Moses. He now called him to the top of the mountain to give him more of the laws and regulations for 40 days and 40 nights. Before Musha came back from 40 days and 40 nights that YAHUAH called him for the instruction that he was giving to him, the children of Yasharah has carved a calf idol, a calf. And they now said, yeah, Yasharah, look at this. This is which is the mighty one that took them, that made them cross the Red Sea, that took them from bondage. You are seeing the pillar of cloud there. You are seeing the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. The pillar of fire comes in the night, because in the night everywhere is cold. You know, so the fire warmed them. That is a big miracle. Then you are seeing the pillar of cloud in the day, because the sun, you know, to cover them, not for sun not to hit them, and you know, to be a shadow to cover them as a shade. You are seeing YAHUAH's direction. YAHUAH's direction is above you. They are seeing it every day and night. They see the cloud switch to fire. They see the fire switch to cloud again in the morning. And in the night, they see the cloud switch to fire again every day, but they don't trust in YAHUAH. They see went and make idol. They heard the voice of YAHUAH. Remember that also. It is the voice of YAHUAH that spoke the 10 commandments. It is the voice of YAHUAH. They heard his voice. And YAHUAH told them at that point, he said he told Musha to tell them that they did not see any image and they did not see any form of anything, that they should not go and carve anything and worship. But at the end of the day, what did they do? They went to carve an image, and YAHUAH destroyed them all. That's to tell you, this image, idols, is the most evilest thing on this earth. And that is why you see that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refused to bow to the image of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar asked them, if you did not bow, you will die. And what did they do? They said, if we want to die, we will die, but we will not bow to this image. And that is the zeal, and that's the courage. And that is how you will trust in YAHUAH and overcome every challenges on your pathway. Don't give up. Don't give in to images. Serve only YAHUAH. He said, in the Ruach and in truth. You don't need any image to serve YAHUAH. Just serve him in the Ruach. Serve him in truth. And what is the Ruach and in the truth? Serve him within you and in this truth, the truth of his word, of his Daba. And it is, what is the truth? The truth is the second commandment. You must not serve any image. You must not bow down to any image. That is truth. But you see today, process. This religion, Christianity religion will carry cross, Muslim will carry moon, half moon, different carvings. He said, when you look up the sky, don't carve anything. When you look at the ground, the sea, whatever you see, don't carve them. Don't worship image. YAHUAH has given us ability, the power. We have the power. Yes. And that power is what you see that we are using today. That's why you see that people can do this internet. We can talk. We can, as we are talking now, people are hearing everywhere. As far as you are keyed into the live stream, you are hearing what we are discussing. It's because YAHUAH has given us power to create. It did not give power to a lifeless image. So from today, stop worshiping idols. Even money is an idol. Yes, when you take your money so serious, that is the reason why Brother James preached, talked about it, as a man that took his money so seriously. At the end of the day, YAHUAH took his life, and that money was nowhere to be found for him anymore. There's no need of that money anymore, because the life that you are supposed to take seriously and using worshiping YAHUAH in the spirit and in truth, you did not value it, and now YAHUAH took it, and every other thing left. So focus on YAHUAH only from this day. YAHUAH is the answer to every prayers. YAHUAH is what you need, nothing else. YAHUAH Sabaoth.
Yeah, so I just came from a land full of idolatry, just idolatry everywhere. Statues like everywhere, like you would never believe. And I live in a land that's full of idolatry too, and we have a look at these things. And they're just, you can see they're just demonic. We have a look at them, there's no life in them, so what is the point in worshipping them? They don't do anything. They put people in poverty more than anything else. You have a look at these wicked statues that are there. And I was in a cab when I was in India, and I was talking to one of the drivers, and I said, how many gods do you have? And he couldn't even tell me. He said, I don't know, we've got over 60,000, and they're all idols. So idolatry is just absolutely everywhere, but we serve the living YAHUAH that is not made out of water or stone. He dwells in us, his Ruach dwells in us. Remember, we are the temple of their living YAHUAH. He's not so far away that we can't reach him. He's right there with us. So Toda Rabba YAHUAH.
To flee from idolatry. We serve the living YAHUAH. And YAHUAH takes it very personal. You bow down to an image, a graven image, or a cross. See, we serve YAHUAH. We follow our master Yahusha. So you must flee from idolatry. Idolatry is nothing, and it will get you thrown in the lake of fire. And you'll be on the wrong with YAHUAH.